Hey guys, and down here, this is going to be my chapter review to My Hero Academia or Boku no Hero Academia 238 Liberation. Now, this chapter was badass, but it was really, like, the panels were oddly drawn, as in, like, you'd have, like, one little thin-ass column panel on the right where we see Gigantomachia or something like that. The panels were really weird. I agree with a few people. It was hard to follow. I knew everything that was happening, and I understand what happened this chapter, but it just, everything seemed so kind of... I'm not sure if it was because it was jam-packed or things didn't really link together very well. It just seemed like a very jarring chapter, even though I know exactly what happened, so I don't need anybody to actually explain that. It was just a very, very jarring chapter. So we start off with Shigaraki saying exactly what he said last chapter, which is, I don't need these. All these hands which served as fetters for his emotions and really just binding him and tying him down. He didn't need those anymore. He didn't need the memory of his family anymore. He just wanted to destroy. So he destroys those, and he's in the zone. He's going to kick some ass. So we see straight away Redestro goes 100% stress. By the way, Redestro, one of the best character designs in My Hero. I mean, like, he's very simple, just this huge hulking figure with this black kind of Getsuga all over him. But he looks so cool. He looks very, very... just menacing and sinister. I mean, like, when he goes 100% stress, he's got all that blackness around him. He looks insane. Anyway, he attacks Shigaraki straight away with 100%, and you can see from this moment straight away, as he's attacking, and he opens his eyes and he says, and yet, you can see the doubts start to infiltrate, and the doubts start to really cripple his mind and cripple his physicality as well, cripple his quirk, which is actually quite important in his regard, because his whole quirk is based off of, he can if he feels stress, he can convert that to energy, he can convert that to power, convert that to size, all of that stuff. But that starts to really lose its function as we go through the chapter. So you see Shigaraki here, he's preparing for the attack, preparing to counter it, and rather than actually decaying Redestro, he decays away the stress around Redestro. So the attack still destroys half the city, but Shigaraki is there completely fine, because he destroyed the stress that was aimed at him, the attack that was aimed at him. He's destroyed that. All of the energy from that still blew up everything around him. I'm not quite sure how the physics around that works, because it doesn't really make sense. Someone who does the physics, you let me know if that would actually make sense. But he seems to have destroyed the area of effect that surrounded him, and he destroyed stress around him. Shigaraki, that is. We then see the ice dude basically just get up and get up and fly straight towards Redestro. He's like, yo, shit, this is real. Dabi's just there watching him go away. And we see this part is awesome, because we see Shigaraki with his hair is just really crazy. It's longer than I actually thought, and he's there like, if I destroy your stress before you take a full swing, it's really nothing special. I can take you. You're easy. He's making easy work of Redestro, which is surprising, because the guy is powerful as fuck. Like, he's making quite simple work of the guy. But the thing with this panel is he just looks insane. You see Shigaraki, half of his face is covered, the rest is blacked out. His clothes are just torn to tatters, and for some reason that's increased their volume. Like, he's just covered and coated in this black, which looks very similar to the stress that Redestro has around him, but it's not the same thing. It's just his cloak and his clothes that are torn apart, and it's hanging off of him, flying off of him due to the force of the attack. But it does look, once again, very final Getsugash, and he looks insane. So you see here Redestro starting to panic. Shigaraki starting to trash talk as well. He's like, you're just a big guy. I get it. It's fun to destroy everything and all that good shit, but, like, you're not really anything hot. You're not anything special. So this is where Redestro's like, yo, shit, my heart is pounding in my chest. I'm shitting my pants. He summons this item created by Detnerat, and it essentially makes him into, like, some sort of Megazord kind of thing. You see, like, this backpack and then leg pieces and arm pieces and stuff like that fly over to him, and he's not willing to accept that he's suffering from fear. He's shitting his pants right now, and the reason why is because I think fear, in his mind or in his experience, fear translates into kind of another stress based kind of emotion, so he can usually convert that to power, but it doesn't seem to be working. His quirk is literally disappearing as he's speaking, which is cray cray. You see here Rikiya's family, they're talking to him when he was a child, saying that we've been hiding for generations, you're the one that's going to finally fulfill Destro's will. So it was placed on his shoulders even as a young child, as opposed to an old child. And this is where we see Destro saying, my quirk, my stress is fading away, I need to do something about it, which is why he brings up this awesome looking Megazord looking thing. It's called Crestro. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean, whether it's a kind of a combination of two different Japanese words or something. Like Destro, I understand that part, but what's the KR part, the Crestro? Anyway, you can see a lot of Destro's mouth. You can see beneath his stress-induced blackness, which is showing that his quirk is actually vanishing. And then his face gets coated and he's gone 150%, even though 100% just a few seconds ago hadn't worked. This is where we go and see this weird column panel where we see everyone trying to take out Gigantomachia, but he's just squashing them. Like he's too strong. He's kicking the shit out of everyone. We see Twice walking away with Giran. We see Mr. Compress basically begging the Doctor to warp them back to their location, back to their hideout. And the Doctor makes a shitty excuse like, I can't use that little creature thing that I used to warp you, because he gets tonsillitis or some shit when I use him too often. But reality is, he says, I've no desire to work with people who were careless enough to reveal their hideout to the enemy. Now, I was unsure of the fact that, did they even reveal their hideout? Like, the League didn't reveal their hideout to Destro, right? They just revealed their location wherever they were at the time. I don't actually remember. I need to reread this, but essentially what the Doctor's saying is, this is all part of the test. I don't give a shit if Shigaraki's like about to die or if he's all for one successor. I've driven him into this corner to see what he can do, to see if he can make it out alive, to see if he's deserving, to see if I am willing to serve this guy. So I was like, cool. We then get the ice guy, forgotten his name, and he kind of flies in on his ice pillar thing right behind Gigantomachia, and he's there looking at him, and we see here that Destro tells him, the most important thing you need to remember when you're fighting against the League is that Dabi has this huge wide area flamethrower attack. Be careful of that, be wary of that. So his name, Apocrypha, actually, apparently he's been denoted as, you are the cornerstone of the Liberation Army. So, with all that being said, it's all good stuff. He attacks Gigantomachia. Gigantomachia swats him like a fly. He absolutely wrecks him. Breaks off a part of a building and throws it straight at Apocrypha. Apocrypha gets wrecked. The people on the ground are like, yo, shit, Apocrypha's gotten wrecked. We see Spinner going after that politician dude. And Gigantomachia is still going crazy, saying Master Successor. And then suddenly, very suddenly, Gigantomachia gets his pupils come back in, his iris comes back in, his eyes haven't just been whited out, which means he's not in like this crazy enraged mode which he's usually in. He's calming down, or he's afraid, which is key, because we see here that Destro, he's in this he says something like liberation from oppression, some shit like that. Basically he's looking at Shigaraki and he's understanding that his awakening is a result of him kind of being removed. These fetters having been removed from him. And I like Shigaraki here because he says, you're going 150%. Is that kind of like the plus ultra thing that they've got going on over at UA? Because I've heard this kind of shit before and I'm ready. So he touches the ground here, Shigaraki. And we know what's going to happen. He's in this insanely powerful form. He's touching the ground. Probably half the city, probably the entire city is going to go missing. It's going to decay. And Destro here just says, the throbbing in my chest, I know what it was, and then it just kind of finishes. But I assume the throbbing in his chest was what he identified as earlier. It was the taste of it wasn't really fear, because he said he could convert that to energy before. I think it was the knowledge of defeat. He wasn't afraid per se, he just knew he was going to lose. He knew that even though he had this really kind of this rose-tinted image of why he was doing the things he was doing, this weird explanation that he had to serve, why he was doing why he was causing all this destruction, killing people and all that stuff, it really didn't matter in the face of someone as insane as Shigaraki, So I think that was more the feeling of defeat was what was creeping up on him, and that was it. That was the end of the chapter. Now, just before I finish my review, what I would want to bring up is the fact that people are getting power-ups insanely quickly in My Hero, and I'm not a big fan of that in general. I mean, I was not a fan of it in Taizai, because that was shit. I've never been a fan of it in Fairy Tail, which was shit. And I've not been a fan of it in things like One Piece, where someone just suddenly gets a random power up and you're just like, I don't think so. I understand why Horikoshi is giving Shigaraki such a huge power up and the league such a huge power up, because the kids over at UA and the heroes in general are insanely powerful. Deku's now got like he's going to have access to about 7-8 different quirks. He has the inherent power that One for All gives. Bakugo is just insane. Todoroki is insane. Endeavor's insane. All this good shit, but I do feel like, power scaling here is starting to become maybe a bit of an issue, because Shigaraki has become insanely powerful, like to the point where the only one in his group that's even comparable is probably Dabi. But Dabi, like that, when it's gotten to the point that Shigaraki can actually decay random shit, like he decayed away stress. That's like an inanimate object. That's intangible. How are you going to decay away stress? I enjoyed reading it, but that leads to things like, if Dabi was to betray Shigaraki, let's say, and he fought against him, would Shigaraki be able to decay a flame-based attack aimed towards him? He'd just be like, nah, decay that. And that's the issue I have. When you have stuff like this, the power scaling goes off the charts. I've gone out of focus, and the story gets a little bit out of focus as well. So we'll see how that goes. But I did enjoy the chapter. That was my only one real gripe with it. So let me know what you guys thought of the chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in a bit.